Okay, now let's proceed to the last topic, which is updating data from our front end to database. So, to update existing contact, do the following. So, these are the summary steps on what I did for the implementation. So, number one, I reuse the add contact modal. And then also, I retrieve the ID of the specific contact that I want to update. And then I pass it to an object that sets values of useState hooks. And then also I display the contact to be updated on the model that I reuse. And then there is an on-press event if update button is clicked, and also I create an update contact function to handle our PHP file for update. Okay, in our application, so in order for us to edit a certain contact, we have to click the pen icon to update it. So here, when I click the pen icon, this user interface will display, which is our reuse modal. And as you can see, our reuse modal has different labels and modals, and this modal also has the data of selected contact. And we can click the update button to edit the contact in our database. Okay, so first thing that we're going to do is I created usage variable editing contact and set editing contact. So the purpose of the state variable is to check if the modal is for updating and adding a new contact, because like I've said, I just reuse my modal for adding contact. So in order for me to identify the correct labels for my modal, I have to check or add or create a state variable to check if the modal is for updating or adding a new contact. So if editing contact is set, prefill the modal fields with the selected contacts data. So later on, we'll be able to know what I meant with that statement. So that's the first thing. You add the state variable if you're going to use your modal. But if not, you can just exclude this one. Okay, next naman is updating data from no. Okay, next naman is create open edit modal object. So this is an object that handles the okay, next naman. Okay, next, create an open edit modal object. So this object is triggered when the edit button is pressed. It accepts an argument contact which holds the contact data of selected contact. So basically, when the edit button here is clicked, the open edit modal will be triggered, and it is expecting a value na ipapasa sa kanya, which is here our argument is contact, and it has a data type of any. So yung parts ng open edit model natin, we have set editing contact. This is the use state variable that we have declared firstly. Here, andito yung set editing contact. So we set the editing contact to the contact, which is yung argument na ipinasa natin kay open edit model. And then second, we have the following line. So the purpose of these two lines here is for us to split the first name and last name. Because in our display or sa mga cards natin, we actually combine the first name and last name. Pero kapag papunta tayo sa modal, separate kasi yung first name and last name. So, when inserting the data to our database, um, what I call this, we combine the name, but when updating, we need to split them na naman. So this is what you do. This is how you split the first name and last name. And then here, The purpose of this one is assigning values to the use state declared to be displayed on modal form for updating. So the following values has already been implemented in the previous video. So giriuse lang nato ni siya. And what we're doing here is we are assigning values to our variables. So we are assigning first name to set first name. We are assigning last name to set last name. And with this process, we can actually now, or the data of the selected contact will be now displayed to our modal. Okay? And then last part, we have the set modal visible just for making the modal visible in our screen. Okay, so that's for the open edit modal object. Now, let's proceed naman sa mga changes that we did for our return statement sa ating contact list.tsx. Okay, so in this part of the program, sa program to ng mga icons natin. So when the edit icon is pressed, we are calling open edit modal. At the same time, we are passing the contact data. So yung contact data natin is from this implementation, line 119 to 200, 199, I mean. So we are calling the contact argument of our contact data.map. And the contact argument here actually holds all the data from our contact data.map. Okay, and we are passing it to our call function of open edit modal. And with this event, okay, so every time i-click natin yung pen na icon, so we will be redirected now to our open edit modal, and then it will hold whatever data the event is passing. It will be stored to our contact argument of open edit modal. So, in simpler terms, i-click nato si pen, ma-trigger or matawag sa open edit modal, then naa siya dala nga value, ipasa niya sa atong open edit object, and then it will perform the following line of code. And then after that, so yun lang naman yung changes here. And then now, let's proceed to the other changes, which is yung sa modal natin. So, marami akong change dito. Okay, so this is one modal that can be used for adding, updating data. So the following components are updated. So the first user interface left dito, that is for the adding contact, and ito naman sa kabila is for editing contact. But they're just one modal. Yung mga labels lang yung binago ko. And the question is, how did I change the labels? So to change the labels, I added some conditioning to the rendering of labels. So for example here, in the highlighted line of code, as you can see inside my text component, I have the following condition. So this is actually a condition that displays the header of the modal. Okay, so ang condition natin is when editing contact. So remember, yung editing contact natin, okay, let me go back. Editing contact is declared here. Yan, it is declared here, and currently, it has a null value. Walang laman. But, kapag ma-trigger si Open Edit Modal, we are already setting a value to set editing contact. So we are setting a value to this one. At the same time, setting also a value to our editing contact. So once this object, Open Edit Modal, is called, hindi na to siya null. meron na siyang laman. But that only happens kapag i-click natin yung edit button. Therefore, in this condition here, when yung editing contact is true, so here, kapag true siya, ibig sabihin may value, may laman yung editing contact natin. Therefore, if may laman siya, the screen will show edit contact, this label here. But if false or walang laman, it will display new contact as its header. So that's the conditioning between the different event. Okay? So, in simpler terms, if editing contact has value, it will display the label edit contact. If it is null, then it will display new contact. Ayan. Next naman, here in our image button for choosing image. So, naiba din yung label niya. So, same conditioning pa rin. If editing contact has value, it will display change image. Else, if null, choose image. Here naman, we also change the label for our save and update. This is the condition. Ayan. And then, we also have a different on-press event. So kapag yung edit contact meron siyang laman, it will call update contact, passing this value to this function, which is, ang update contact natin is, saan na yan? Later pa pala. Okay. Later na natin ipapakita yung update contact. And then, if the editing contact is null, then we will proceed to an insert contact function, which is previously discussed na sa earlier na video lesson. So, since we already mentioned update contact, this is our update contact function, which has a contact argument that expects an ID of updated data from our modal. Okay? So, the update contact function is designed to update the details of a contact in a database by sending a POST request to a PHP script on the server. So, this is the second line here is just for debugging, just to ensure that I am receiving the correct ID. You can just remove this one if you want. And then next, we have the actions. So these values are sent to the server, which is this one. So we have a post URL, and all of these values here are sent to myupdate.php. And then, okay, and also just recap lang, this data here, first name, last name, phone number, relation, and image, this is mga use state variable. Go back tayo ulit dun sa inserting data sa database. Remember, we have declared sa first part of our program yung mga different use state variable hook for each of the fields sa modal natin. So, ito yan sila. And the next naman, we have the then function, which is called if yung request is successful. And then it will display this message and i-refresh na yung data. And of course, i-close nyo yung modal. And then we have the set refresh data to true. And then we also have lastly the catch error function. So this is called if my error sa connection to our post request. So if the server is unreachable, maybe the database query fails or there is some other issue. So this will be displayed on our console. Okay, so that's for the update contact function. Now, let's proceed naman sa updated PHP natin. So, meron pa rin tayong CORS implementation, We still have here the connection in our database, the checking of our connection, and of course, we are still receiving JSON data from our React Native, yung updated data. So we encoded it in this variable, and then to make it PHP readable, we decoded it, and then we are storing the decoded data here in this variable. So now we can extract the decoded data. So in this line of code, we have a script here that we have a script here that extract the contact details from the decoded JSON data. And then here we have a query that constructs an update statement to modify the contact's details in the table contact. So ito yung query natin, update yung table in which we want to be updated. We're going to set the following column with these variables, or sorry, with these values. Contact number column, phone number, contact relation, the relation variable, contact image, image, where the contact ID is equivalent to this one. And then next we have an execution or condition just to check if the query is successful or not. And if it's successful, this will be displayed. If it's not, then this will be displayed. And last but not the least, the closing of our connection after the first line of codes are implemented. Okay, so that's for the delete and updating. So that's the end of the topics in this course. So I will be giving you an instructions regarding on the final examination or final requirement. So be updated na lang. Thank you everyone.